At our meeting, Councilman will lead us in a prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Shall we pray? Our Father, we thank you for this wonderful fall season that we've had. Thank you for the bounty of the soil that we have in this community and the ability to raise crops and feed the world. Thank you for the opportunity we have in this body of representing the people of this county and working on their behalf to provide services and to provide protection and everything that we're entrusted with in government. We pray that you would be with us. We pray that you would protect those that protect us at all levels. We pray that you would watch over our leaders, you would protect our leaders, and that you would give them discernment and that you would provide with them the knowledge to do what is right. Right now that you would be with us, bless our time together, and guide us and help us to make good decisions. We ask it in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hear ye, Elkhart County Council is now in session to hear any and all business brought before them. Thank you.
Welcome to the October 16th meeting of the Elkhart County Council. Lady, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Bielski?
Here.
Clark?
Here.
Graham?
Here.
Mr. Hess?
Here.
Reesecker?
Here.
Mr. Stump? Mr. Young?
Okay, so we have a number of minutes to approve. We have minutes to approve for September 8th, 2025, September 9th, 2025, the morning meeting, and September 9th, 2025, the afternoon meeting, September 10th, 2025, the morning meeting, September 10th, 2025, the afternoon meeting, September 11th, 2025, and September 12th, 2025, the morning meeting. And September 12th, 2025, the afternoon meeting, and September 18th, 2025.
Motion to approve. Second.
So any discussion on that? So I had one change I wanted to make, and I don't know if Brandy made it or not, but
Yes.
on the appropriation for a lobbyist in Indianapolis, I think we took a vote and the minutes said it was unanimously approved. I think that's what it said, but at any rate, there were three of us that voted again, for that and four that voted for it. I mean, three that voted for it and four that voted against it. So that was the only change I had. So I assume your motion approves those changes, and if it does,
Yes.
we're ready to vote. So it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the past meetings. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. That passes 6-0. Committee reports. Commissioners, anything to report?
Did you say no and then walk up?
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I did. I just want to keep you guys here longer. I think we had a great, Susie Wyrick, Commissioner. I think we had a great open house yesterday. Amazon did a fantastic job at taking everyone around. I know some people were pleasantly surprised, and in case everybody doesn't know, they are roughly at 1,000 employees, which is roughly, they say 10% of their production. So it'll be interesting how they continue to ramp up and make things great. And the governor also learned how to tape a box yesterday. So that was very exciting if you missed that. Thank you guys for all attending. I think we represented well there.
Okay. So Council, Doug, anything?
Yeah, I just want to add more to what Susie just said. I was in attendance yesterday with a number of other people in this room. And it's exciting to see that new employment opportunity available for our residents. But just to show, I know there was a lot of discussion when this was approved, but they surprised Five Star Life yesterday with a $25,000 donation. So they are committed to supporting the local community beyond just the employment opportunities that they give. So they appear to be walking their talk. I spoke to someone as well. I heard they have 1,200 employees there already, and they're going to get up to 2,000 in the next 4 months. So it's exciting to see that, and needless to say, the technology over my head. But it was an exciting moment for our county. That's all.
Daryl?
She told me 1,400 employees, so
Okay.
they're getting closer. That's it.
Dick?
Nothing.
Steve?
Nothing.
Adam?
Nothing.
Okay, thank you. Council, anything, or Sheriff, anything to report?
Sir, thank you.
So we have one appointment to make, and it's a reappointment of Sherry Mullet to the Napanee Library Board for 4-year term. And the reappointment term would last until October 31st, 2029, and I believe she was the only one that applied for that.
Correct.
Okay.
Tom, before we take that up on Vice Counsel, we have an internal policy regarding appointments for library boards. The problem is it deals with our finance committee that we're not having. And so I would motion that we rescind the policy until legal counsel can hopefully get us an updated policy that complies with the spirit of what we're trying to do, but with the parameters given, and hopefully present that to us by next month. So my motion is,
In regard to this appointment, you mean, or?
well, we need to do it before this appointment, but it doesn't really affect this appointment because there was only one person that applied. However, we need to do it at some point, and our policy says that we will do the initial at finance committee. We didn't have a finance committee, so now we just need to rescind that policy before we appoint. Does that make sense? It's more.
I don't know. I didn't receive Steve's opinion of that. I would think we could just do that by decision. We're going to do this appointment, and we didn't have a finance committee meeting, but I yield to Steve Olson because that's what we pay him for.
Tom doesn't trust you.
I stole it from
wouldn't be
him.
so cruel as to say that.
Steve Olson, County Attorney. Steve Clark is referring to Resolution 2024-07. Based upon the language in the resolution, it does recognize items associated with the Finance Committee. So because of that, I would recommend that we go ahead and revoke it, and we can make an update and change that and get it prepared for next month.
Revoke this appointment, you mean?
No.
Revoking the resolution
Oh, okay.
that is, and this resolution is only an internal policy. The resolution is very clear. This does not create any third-party rights for any individuals who are associated with it, but so we can ensure your policies are up to date, match what you're doing, and ensure that you have the spirit of the resolution in it. I can prepare an updated one for next month, but per the motion from Councilman Clark, this would be just to rescind and revoke resolution number 2024-07 until a new resolution can be prepared and presented to you.
A second.
Okay, and then what do we do with this appointment? Do we just table it?
No,
we gotta vote on this.
Vote.
So then,
Well, you had them. Okay.
You will, since you have a motion, a second, you can take action on that. Following that, I anticipate there will be a motion related to the appointment, and that is perfectly fine.
The table.
No. Appointed.
To appoint the individual, recognizing that you had an opportunity today to discuss the only candidate that you reviewed, one that you've already had on the board, as long as you are still satisfied with allowing that person to continue to serve.
Okay, so it's been moved. Has it been seconded?
Yes.
To rescind this?
I second it.
2024-07. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no.
so now
And so that has been rescinded and will be reviewed before the next council meeting.
I'll move to approve the library board for appointment for Napanee as presented.
Second.
Okay, any discussion amongst the council?
I will just say, as and I meet with their director and library board once off, not often, but occasionally. They are very open to honest discussions and great library board to work with. And I appreciate their openness, willingness, even with some of their financial questions I had, they're completely open book and willing to have those meetings with not just myself, but I've sent residents there as well. So it's a good open board.
Anything else? So it's been moved and seconded to reappoint Sherry Mullet to the Napanee Library Board. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. And she is appointed for a 4-year term. Thank you. So we're now moving to the additional appropriation requests. Each request will be handled separately by the board. And I will give the public and council members, as a part of the public hearing process, an opportunity to comment after presentation of the appropriation request. When no further comments are made on the specific request, the public hearing will be deemed closed and the council will vote on the specific request. So with that, we'll move to the additional appropriations.
So the first additional appropriation on your agenda this evening is the commissioners requesting $200,000 from the general fund.
Good afternoon, council members. Jeff Taylor, County Administrator. Give you a brief update on what's happening here with this that's related to this request. We've started renovations at the Goshen Courthouse. When I say renovations, we're not tearing out any walls or negatively affecting anything in the courthouse. In fact, what we've done is we've pulled up a lot of carpet and we're restoring the hardwood that is underneath the carpet. Today, Hoosier Hardwoods spent the day sanding the hardwood and getting it prepared for refurbishment. In the areas where the city of Goshen is occupying their city court, in the lower level, they're doing some framing and building offices down there. That requires a permit. The permit is posted on the door. The city of Goshen is responsible for all of their improvements. That area. On the second floor at the south end, where the former clerk's office was, the fire department is gradually beginning their renovations. The city of Goshen is paying for all of their renovations with one exception. We agreed that if they are favorable to hardwood floors, the original hardwood floors that are in the structure underneath the carpet, underneath several layers, that the county would pay to restore those floors, with the understanding, once we restore them, they're there to stay. You're not going to cover them in the future with carpet. The city agreed to that. And so soon, in the next few weeks, those floors will be demoed, and meaning pulling up the old material and then having the Hoosier Hardwoods restore those floors as well. All of this is being handled by your Buildings and Grounds Department. Those guys are working their tails off over there. They never cease to amaze me and how productive they are. The other thing the other group we're using is we've reached out to community corrections, and we'll be utilizing some work release to do some demo work. We got a lot of stuff in there that just needs to be hauled to the dump. So it needs to be loaded onto trailers or dump trucks. We're also, we've reached out to Teen Challenge, and we'll be working with that group to get some help for manual labor type things as well. So that's a brief introduction to kicking this project off, and we're asking for $200,000 to get started. We do have a little bit of funds remaining in our budget for 2025 that we'll be spending out through the end of the year. This project would carry over into next year. I don't see us spending all of this between now and the end of the year. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Just a question. I'm assuming that you're tracking all the expenses for this renovation work, so at some point we'll have a total for it. Yeah. Do we have any idea of what our total cost will be, or is it just too early to tell?
Too early to tell. Yeah.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Any questions? Other questions from the council?
Just question while you're up here, because I got asked today, has we finalized transfer of the Elkhart courthouse to the city yet, or when will that?
Yes, that's been finalized.
Okay, anything else?
No? I thought we had an agreement for October 15th, and then that's been extended to the 15th of November.
Just for clarification, because I anticipate, Adam, you're asking, have we closed
Correct.
and signed the deed on that property? That has not yet occurred. The agreement to proceed forward with closing has occurred, but we're working on final removal of equipment that we need from the Elkhart Courthouse, and that is why it is not yet completed.
So yes, we have an agreement in place. It's a done deal for all practical purposes, but the closing itself has not taken place because there's some IT work that is being completed. Some of you may, in particular department heads sitting behind me or listening, have experienced some challenges lately with the network. We're moving our network to a more modern network with getting off the old spoke and wheel and getting onto a daisy chain that will produce redundancy and many, many, many years of good service. That is a major undertaking. By the way, some of our IT employees this week have worked 24 hours straight, trying to keep things moving. So once we get that completed, then we can remove all of the remaining infrastructure in the Elkhart Courthouse.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? Are there any questions from the audience? So I can't see you back there, Glenn. Oh, yeah, I can see you there. So no questions. Okay, well, we have a motion and a second. It's been moved and seconded to approve $1,000 from the general fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, and that passes 6-0.
Next, we have the commissioners requesting 300,000 from the general fund.
So last month, we talked about this appropriation. I brought one before you for $60,000. It was not going to be enough to complete the work. Doug, I took your advice and said, come back one more time, one more bite of the apple. Don't be coming back each month for whatever it's going to take to wrap this up. Now, let me tell you what wrap this up means. We're going to have a reconciliation of the bank accounts, and I'll read through the scope of work that we got from Baker Tilly. This
You want to identify this as the treasurer's office?
is the treasurer's office work. Yes, thank you for clarifying that. And this is the current treasurer and the auditor, and a couple of council members, two to be exact, met with Baker Tilly and wanted to know what is it going to cost to get to a point where the accounts are reconciled, not completely, but to a point where they're satisfied that the State Board of Accounts will be satisfied. And you correct me if your thoughts were something different. So let me tell you about the scope of work that we've been talking about. Analyze client prepared monthly bank reconciliations for reasonableness and accuracy. Develop a database of cash receipts and disbursements as necessary. Compare bank statement transactions to the database or computerized accounting system. Develop receipt and disbursement proofs by month to develop a list of reconciling items as necessary. Confer with the county to determine the context of reconciling items. Assist the county, to develop proposed adjusting entries to reconcile general ledger and bank totals. Confer with the county regarding ongoing monthly procedures in order to determine best practices and required monthly procedures in order to produce timely financial accounting and reporting. Let me boil that down a little bit. Baker Tilly is going to provide a list to the county to where they've reconciled the accounts through December 2024, which is the end of December 2024. The new treasurer began January 1st, 2025. They're going to reconcile till we get to a point where, in their opinion, the difference is immaterial, meaning the State Board of Accounts is not going to take issue with it. This does not mean that there's money missing. This does not mean that the county shouldn't care about that immaterial amount. This is an amount to where, should the county continue to spend thousands of dollars trying to reconcile down to the last penny? Or should we hit the reset button January 1st, 2025, knowing this amount is not reconciled? And Baker Tilly will talk to you more about that when we get to that point. I'm not going to be able to do it justice today.
If I understood it correct when I heard about this, it would cost us more to get down to the penny.
Mhm.
And so we would be spending more money than we could possibly find, if you will. Is that accurate?
That's precise.
Well, and also it's worth noting from what I was in the meetings, there's not money missing. It's not like there's some money missing. It's the fact that we don't have it reconciled per account.
Right.
So there's nothing fraudulent going on or no missing funds. It's just a question of, do we want to spend $3 for every dollar we're going to reconcile? Well, the money's already there.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of, how finite do we want to be with it? Correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they've said when they get to that point, Doug, to your point you were making, they said when they get completed with their reconciliation, the county can continue to hire Baker Tilly to nail that number down further, which, I mean, this is a vendor telling us, you don't want to do that. You don't want to pay us to do that. You can have staff do it, or you can go through a process where you request to write it off. It doesn't mean you're ignoring it. That means, to the point Steve is making, if there's a $10,000 disparity, are you going to spend $100,000 getting to the bottom of it? You can, and that will be a choice that the council and the treasurer can make at that point.
Bigger question for me, do we have internal procedures now that will prevent this from happening?
That's a great question. One of the tasks, and that if you heard me when I was reading through these, the scope of work, number 7 was confer with a client regarding ongoing monthly procedures in order to determine best practices and required monthly procedures in order to produce timely financial accounting and reporting. So they're going to help develop, this goes to a question you had, Tom, after our meeting, they're going to help develop procedures for the treasurer's office to avoid this from happening in the future. I can tell you your treasurer is working fervently trying to develop internal processes and controls and some written documentation so that down the road, when a new treasurer comes in, there's a manual to tell you, or at least a guideline on how to perform the functions of the job.
And I met with Cindy before this meeting today, and to that point, even a little more, she is now 10 months into it, and she feels she's just now starting to do the actual job she was voted to do because of these issues. And now her next thing, she also has a first deputy who's very, very well qualified now.
Yeah.
So there are policies, procedures, everything she will have on how to do every single job. That's her next goal after this. But this had to be taken care of first.
Can I just add to that?
Sure.
I think this is a perfect example of why some positions are term limited. The treasurer can only serve 2 4-year terms. A new set of eyes comes in, and what the new set of eyes said, wait a minute, I can't reconcile to this. So it shows one of the checks and balances that are within the system to keep that from continuing to grow. And I'll give credit to Cindy for taking over as treasurer and raising her hand and saying, hey, I'm in trouble here. No fault of hers, but she just couldn't reconcile her books because they weren't reconciled before.
And we've come around her to help her.
Yeah,
And
I know we have, but she needs
that's what we should
recognition
do.
for the fact that she
Mhm.
at least didn't continue to do the same wrong thing. She's now saying, I need help to do it right. And good for her. And that shows, I think it verifies the voter made the right decision in electing her because she knew when she was in trouble. She reached out, not in trouble, when she knew she had a problem. And we surrounded her with all kinds of support to find an answer to it. So the question is, do you need 300,000 more?
No.
Okay.
175,000 not to exceed to wrap up the work through December 2024 and get it to a point where they talk to the council and then you folks can take it from there.
And part of that is their policies and procedures they're gonna develop? Wasn't that one of the things you read that's gonna be
Yes.
part of that 175,000?
Yes.
Which gets to what Adam's question was, Steve's, whoever it was. But
By the way, there's not $175,000 to go. It's in totality, another $175,000 to wrap this up. They're much further into this.
I'll move to approve 175,000 for this, independent accounting.
Second.
Any questions from the council? Questions from the audience? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve $175,000 from the general fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no, and that passes 6-0.
Next, we have the commissioners requesting 600,000 from the general fund.
On this particular appropriation, and Patty, feel free to jump in here if I don't say something correctly. A few months ago, the county council approved a $300,000 appropriation for the liability fund. The liability fund is Fund 4715, I think. Don't hold me to that, but it's got its own different fund number. And it does not have a source of income. So we did an additional appropriation in 4715 to appropriate money in 4715. That's not what we needed. We needed to do an additional appropriation from the general fund, transfer it to 4715. And Patty reminded me that you did an additional appropriation, but you didn't increase the amount in the fund when we did this a few months ago. So does that make sense? So
You said it was for 300,000?
It's for 300. We need another 300. So that's why we're asking for 600.
And this is not accusatory. This is to cure my ignorance. Why don't we budget this? And I'm guessing there's a reason with something with the insurance, but how does that work?
That's a good question. So you sort of do, and the way that you do that is in your commissioner's budget, you have $2.5 million budgeted for liability, property, all kinds of casualty, and insurance premiums and legal fees. And it keeps going up, 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 up.
Gotcha. So this would be similar to like in the jail when we do food or fuel, we kind of take a projection and a guess, but it really depends on the usage of it.
Right. There's no way of projecting how many lawsuits we're going to get or anything like that. So what we do is we take an amount in the general fund budget that you approve, the commissioner's budget for insurance, and we move it to 4715. And so we need the 300,000 you approved earlier and another $300,000 today that will carry us through the end of the year. And then the 2026 budget, I believe, has $2.5 million.
That's gotcha. I'll move to approve.
Second.
Any other questions from the council? Questions from the audience or comments? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded to approve $600,000 from the general fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no, and that passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Next, we have planning and development requesting $265,430 from the general fund.
Council, good afternoon. May Kratzer, Planning and Development. So you've heard me talk a little bit about Intergov throughout the last year, and earlier this year I asked for an appropriation for online permitting for about $70,000 for that online permitting through Intergov. That's a process that started 5 years ago, and we held off paying that money because it was never realized. The online permitting wasn't realized. In my time in this role, we've been looking at something to replace Intergov because it doesn't have the best customer service by any means. And it doesn't create a good product for our taxpayers either. They're not able to access online permitting. So I asked for that appropriation because we have online permitting, but it's not great. It's not something we even have shared with the general public because it's very challenging for the public to navigate. So we've had to realize that funding, pay them for it, but it's still not a good product. Like I said, we've been looking at different permitting software for about 2 years, looked at least a dozen different software, and have worked with OpenGov now for a year. I've taken up a lot of their time and energy, and they've worked closely with us and what our needs are. We've even done a few field trips to other entities like LaPorte and Fishers to talk to their team and see how that software is working for them. Because it's one thing to hear a consultant say it, but it's great to hear another municipality say, hey, this is working really well. And the challenges are not challenges that are there. So this $265,000 covers implementation costs, and it also covers the permitting software fee for the first year. It's a big undertaking for my whole team, but it does provide a software that staff can manipulate. IT's vetted this software as well, and that team as well, and feels comfortable working with them. And legal's looked at that side of it too. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have about OpenGov.
I have a question. How does, from the breakdown here, it looks like the software cost is $125,070.
That's correct.
How's that compare to what it was with EnerGov?
So there would be an increase every year. So our software cost right now with Intergov is just over $100,000. So you're looking at about a $20,000 increase in software every year. So my budget next year will have a $20,000 increase for that software item.
So
Good question.
It's about the same.
Very, very similar, yes, for a much better product.
Daryl, I'm going to relay on you because I know you use a lot of these softwares.
Intergov was worthless.
That's okay.
Yeah,
It's bad.
it was bad. She sent me the link to OpenGov, which is from a different county. So I was able to go in there and it was so much friendlier than what the other one was. We just have to decide whether we want online permitting or not. If we want it, this is the way to go. Get rid of the Intergov and go with the OpenGov. Printing, then we don't need to do anything, but I would recommend going with the OpenGov.
Why wouldn't
you.
we?
I'm saying I
Oh,
would,
gotcha.
yeah.
I agree. I think we do want it. I've worked with
Yeah.
other counties for my members that use, my clients that use
Yeah.
it. So I'll motion to approve.
A second.
Any other questions from the council? Questions from the audience? It's been moved and seconded to approve $265,430 from the general fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, and that passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Highway Department requesting $475,000 from the edit fund.
Good afternoon, Council. Kyle Wagner, Highway Department. The funds for this appropriation is for preliminary engineering design, right-of-way acquisition, construction inspection, and other associated costs for Bridge 232 replacement. It's located on County Road 11 over Yellow Creek, just north of County Road 36. Currently, this bridge is structurally deficient and has a posted weight limit. Funding for this bridge will be locally funded by the county.
Edit fund stands for Economic Development Income Tax.
Yes,
That gets confusing sometimes.
it does.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Will this be a full tear down rebuild? I know it's pretty bad.
Full replacement, yes.
How long do you think they'll be down for? And the reason I'm asking is when I was on Harrison Township Fire, this bridge was a concern then. Taking it down, I know I've heard in the past, can we just make sure that we're working with the township fire departments, let them know that.
Correct. I would say with design, right-of-way acquisitions, clearing, and then actual construction, probably about a year from start.
I think the critical thing there is that you don't get the one on 36 tore down at the same time.
Correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Any other questions from the council? Questions from the audience? It's been moved and seconded to appropriate $475,000 from the edit fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, and that passes 6-0.
Next, we have the Highway Department requesting $550,000 from the edit fund.
So this appropriation is funds for preliminary engineering design and associated costs for Bridge 143 replacement on County Road 3 over Boggo Creek, which is just south of County Road 26. The bridge is structurally deficient and has a posted weight limit. The county was awarded an 80/20 reimbursement, federal funding for construction and construction inspection only as part of this project.
Motion approved.
Second.
Any questions from the council? If not, any questions from the audience on this appropriation? If not, it's been moved and seconded to approve $550,000 from the edit fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no. That passes 6-0.
Next, we have the Highway Department requesting $650,000 from the edit fund.
Excuse me. These funds appropriation is for preliminary engineering design, right-of-way acquisition, construction inspection, and associated cost for Bridge 347 replacement. It's on County Road 44 over Stony Creek, just east of State Road 13. This bridge is also structurally deficient and has a posted weight limit. And the funding for this bridge will be locally funded by the county.
Motion approved.
Second.
Are there any questions from the council? Questions from the audience? It's been moved and seconded to approve $650,000 from the edit fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no, and that passes 6-0.
Next, we have the Highway Department requesting $450,000 from the Cumulative Bridge Fund.
This appropriation is funds for preliminary engineering design, right-of-way acquisition, construction inspection, and other associated costs for Bridge 136, superstructure rehabilitation on County Road 1 over Boggo Creek, north of County Road 24. This bridge is structurally deficient and has a posted weight limit. The funding for this bridge will all come from locally funded through the county.
Motion approved.
Second.
Questions from the council? Questions from the audience? If not, it's been moved and seconded to approve $450,000 from the Cume Bridge Fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no, and that passes 6-0.
Next, we have the Highway Department requesting $625,000 from the Cumulative Bridge Fund.
This appropriation is funds for preliminary engineering design, right-of-way acquisition, construction inspection, and other associated costs for Bridge 402, superstructure rehabilitation on Indiana Avenue over Rock Run Creek, which is north of Wilden Avenue. The bridge is structurally deficient, has a posted weight limit, and also this funding will all come from local funds with the county.
Motion approved.
Second.
I just want to make the statement I always make, especially since this one's in a city. For people who don't know, the county is responsible for a majority of bridges, whether in the city or in the county. So when you see some of these, they're not out in the county. That's why we are responsible for the bridges.
If you look, we just spent plural on bridges.
I'd like to add that this is all in our 10-year plan. Some of them were changed because of our yearly inspection through NDOT. So I just wanted to add that.
In fairness, this is coming from Cumulative Bridge Edit. It's not coming from the general fund. It's not affecting property tax. It's its own thing. So.
Correct.
Any other questions or comments from the council? Any comments from the audience? Now it's been moved and seconded to approve $625,000 from Hume Bridge Fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, and that passes 6-0.
Next, we have the Highway Department requesting $60,000 from the Motor Vehicle Highway Fund.
So these funds, appropriation request is for new traffic counters and other associated costs or associated equipment that goes with them. By traffic counters, I'm sure everybody's seen them. They're the little black tubes that go across the road. Our engineering staff uses them every year for traffic studies, counts vehicles per day, speed.
Motion to approve.
How old are the old ones? How old are the ones we have now? Do you know? We're replacing them all?
We're not replacing them all. We're just adding our inventory.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I will just say that my experience has been, and this is years ago, I don't know how the new ones are, but a 5-pound ball peen hammer hitting that rubber piece will trip and you can hear it count.
Yes.
So it's a good way if you're living there to run the count.
I saw you jump up and down one day on one.
So the newer ones are a little more advanced than that. They can detect things like that. They also detect horse and buggies. So it's a good tool to have in traffic studies.
So do we have to pay for all those? I've seen MACOG out putting these things up. Do they have funds for that as well?
So we can borrow from them if we need be. But MACOG is covering all of Indiana. So their equipment's a little harder to come by. For how many we try to stay ahead on,
Maycock's 5 counties,
sorry.
not
Yeah.
not all of Indiana.
So that to get their equipment, it's a little more difficult. They have trailers that they can bring out as well that do essentially the same thing. This is what we use every year for our intern program. They go out. We get quite a large amount of requests for traffic studies. We can't get to them all every year. We set a priority list through our engineering staff, red, yellow, green on priority. And all the interns head out all summer long and collect all this data, put it all in the computer for our engineering staff to use.
To put this all in perspective, a number of years ago, I had a call from an elderly gentleman that lived on County Road 13, south of 32. And he said, could you get me the traffic count for County Road 13, south of 32, between 32 and 36? I said, sure, those are available. He said, well, you might want to know why I want to know. I said, well, it's not my business. But he said, well, I sit out there and I'm trying to count. And he said, I go to sleep. And so he said, I know I'm not getting them all. But he said, the reason I was interested in it, and I think at that time it was around 3,000 cars a day or something like that. But he said, I remember when I was a small child, my mom said one day, this road's getting busy out here. There were 3 cars that went by today. And now we have thousands.
Anything else from the council? Any questions from the audience? It's been moved and seconded to approve $60,000 from Motor Vehicle Highway Fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, and that passes 6-0.
Next, we have the Highway Department requesting $176,000 from the Motor Vehicle Highway Fund.
This appropriation request is for funds to purchase a new John Deere 6140M tractor. The reason for this tractor or purpose is for mowing. It attaches to our batwing mower. It mowers our largest thoroughfare, which is County Road 17, from State Line to County Road 38, and in the future, with construction, all the way to US 6 one day. Also, it mows County Road 38 and Old US 33, and then every large area that we have for properties. Currently, the tractor that's used now is no longer repairable at the cost of replacement. It has reached the point where it outweighs the value of the tractor to replace.
Motion approved.
Second.
Any questions from the council? Questions from the audience? If not, it's been moved and seconded to approve $176,000 from Motor Vehicle Highway Fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, and that passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Kyle, quick question before you
Sir.
leave. A lot of people asking me, do we have any idea, I know it's a city project, Bristol Street, when that's gonna open up from, County Road 15 down to 13? We have, they're doing the infrastructure now. Do you have any idea when that's gonna be open to floor?
I do not.
I only get asked about 10 times a day.
We're going to the golf course.
We've asked them, and it's kind of the same answer as, you know, they don't,
Just
as
curious.
fast as they can get to it.
Yeah.
So
Next, we have Planning and Development requesting $250,000 from the South Benton TIF Fund.
Mike Ratzer, Planning and Development. This $250,000 is for the construction reconstruction of Bridge 332. This is the first request in a series of requests over the next 9 years to support the infrastructure for this bridge or the rebuild for this bridge. The overall project is 1.3 million. Part of that's going to come from major moves, but the 950,000 of it will come from the TIF over the next 9 years. But the 250 gets it started.
Well, just for clarity, it's going to come from Major Moves loan.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
using Major Moves funds, it's a loan from Major Moves.
Correct. Thank you, Doug.
And will this be added to the budget next year?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
So where is this bridge?
In Boehnertown, the southern portion of the county, it is. You know what I'm talking about?
One that's been closed for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah, that one.
Very,
Let's get it open.
very inconvenient for me not being open.
We'll try to make it more convenient for you.
Now I might be voting against it.
Then you can deal with my wife and daughter because they use it all the time, or they would if it was open.
You just changed my vote back to yes.
Yeah. So any comments from the audience? There were no more from the council. So it's been moved and seconded to approve $250,000 from South Benton TIF Fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no. That passes 6-0.
Next, we have Planning and Development requesting $400,000 from the Middlebury Southeast TIF Fund.
This $400,000 is a request coming from the town. There's for utility to go along County Road 20. There's improvements that could be made along 20, not the road itself, but in terms of development that would result in about $3 million in development improvements that would allow us to collect a minimum of $400,000 a year if that development is realized. So that would remain in the TIF and remain in the TIF over time. So we would collect $400,000 after that development is constructed, and then we would continue to collect those funds once that development has occurred too.
Is the development going to happen without this?
They cannot do the development without having utility. It's just a matter of who's going to pay for the utility. So the town's requesting that the utility is paid for from this TIF, and then we would realize those funds back into the TIF over time. And then that 400,000 will be realized within less than 2 years.
So all the properties that'll be hooked up to the utilities are within the TIF district?
That's correct.
Well, it's only one though, right?
That's correct.
It's one business.
I know.
Yeah, I struggle with it because it's going to one business. Then the money from the increment goes right back into the TIF, which we then spend. And at some point, just turn it over to Middlebury.
So one really important thing and we talked about this, we had an RDC meeting today too. And one really important thing to consider when we talk about, so often we share our TIF funding with the town of Middlebury, right? And a large portion of that is we as a county and as a community between Elkhart County and Middlebury, we realize more from our TIFs at the county level than they would if they were going to annex them all into Middlebury, because those TIFs started the development from a lower standpoint in the county than if they were to annex them, they would get less increment. So it's to everyone's benefit to keep them in the county because there are more TIF dollars realized.
Is the argument because of the levy system? So then you're not sharing it with the other entities?
I don't know if it's so much the levy as much as it's just how TIFs start. So when they start in the county, the start date would be later. And you would lose some of the increment because those developments already occurred.
Right. But yeah.
My struggle with this one is giving the funds for one business and the picking winners and losers and picking a. I know there's been businesses elsewhere that have had to do these similar type things that have had to pay the cost themselves. In this case, we're telling this business you're more important than others. So that's my struggle with this one.
Are they paying for any part of this, or is it just the increment that we'll pay back?
It's just the increment that we'll pay back.
Are they getting any kind of a tax deferral or tax abatement for
They're not, no.
I'll ask for a roll call on this one.
Okay. Any other comments from the council? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Is there a second?
I'll second it to vote on it.
Any comments from the audience on this? Yes, sir. We need your name and address for the record.
Sure. I'm Rick Gentle. I'm also a member of the Redevelopment Commission. So just a brief overview on this. The interlocal came to our regular meeting last month and we deferred it. We deferred it because of the issue of Middlebury annexing this property section. We were concerned that we were going to lose the TIF money. So we didn't want to spend the $400,000 and then not get reimbursed for this expenditure or have other businesses around there fund this $400,000. We added a specific section to the interlocal agreement, Section 7, which is allowed by statute, that we can determine who receives the TIF funds, even though it's not within the true county TIF after it's been. So the interlocal now states that the Elkhart County Middlebury Southeast TIF District will receive all TIF increment funds until the end of the TIF. The TIF ends in 2031. So after our meeting today, what I did was I went home, kind of looked at our worksheets. We keep very extensive worksheets of current expenditures. We plan out several years. These funds currently are not being requested and have not been needed for 27, 28 at the current time. So essentially, these funds would just be sitting in this TIF. Our understanding is we like to work as a team with Middlebury, and they're saying that they need these funds. So when we also look at the math, so if we don't sign this interlocal, Middlebury can then, once they've annexed this, they can set up a TIF district and they will now start receiving the TIF increment instead of Elkhart County, the Middlebury Southeast TIF. So that means we would lose these TIF funds. As we look at a projection based on the expansion here, the TIF funds are going to be about $400,000 a year. So essentially, this is like a short-term loan that this TIF will be using. And if we project this out to 2031, this TIF district will benefit from $2 million of additional increment in this TIF. So that's why, one, Middlebury asked that we use these funds. When we look long-term, we think it's going to benefit the Elkhart County TIF district as a whole, because at the end, that's what the TIF is for. When we terminate, we want this to be in a better situation than it was when we got it. And so we felt that this made a good business decision.
It's a very fair and reasonable argument. I think for me, because I understand what you're saying, but then I look at the next, we're about to spend $2 million out of this TIF all on Middlebury infrastructure, one to a business, two to a wastewater treatment. So I do think there's something about, we could be using it for roads. I know that's a big thing that I've been a proponent of, especially with some on. And so I'm struggling with it because whether we have it or they have it, I'd rather them have it and then just spend it on themselves instead of us have it and then spend it on them anyway. So that's just something I'm struggling with on it.
Sure. But one of the other things is, as we look at our projections here, we clearly have the funds. They may not have the funds to do this. Okay. So however they need to accumulate the funds would be their decision. But overall, as a county in that TIF, we would lose $2 million up to 2031.
That's if the project wasn't done. If the increment wasn't done without this, and my understanding was that it would be done either way.
It's if either the project wasn't done or we don't approve the interlocal. Because if we don't approve the interlocal, Middlebury has the ability to make that a TIF and then they will collect the incremental funds.
Yes, that's what I was suggesting.
Sure,
And then they spend it on themselves
right.
instead of us spending it on them.
Right. And I know, we like to use TIF funds for infrastructure. We're spending $2.6 million through 2028. Middlebury has not told us that they want or have any major projects. Looking out through 2028, at this point, we still have about $3.2 million in that fund, projecting out expenses revenue through 2028. So
So
that,
1.2,
Sure.
thank you, Rick, great. One thing to consider too is you could approve this today contingent upon the interlocal being signed if that was more to your comfort level. That's an option you have. And then just to the point of I know we're in a spot where we really want to think about, hey, how are we going to fund for roads? And Rick spoke on it really in great detail. There's not any request in Highway's 10-year plan, and whatever has been requested from these two TIFs is already projected. So we're not taking projects in this TIF area. So that's just want to make that clear. Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that we're taking a road. I'm more suggesting we could put more into roads. That's my thing.
So what I'm hearing is essentially a recommendation from the redevelopment commission for approval.
that's correct. Our whole premise there is if, this is a Middlebury TIF.
Mhm.
If Middlebury is coming to us and saying, we would like some help, and we feel it financially can work, either in the current year, or making sure that, hey, do you guys have any plans 2 or 3 years down the road? Because this could impact that. They'll let us know, and that's why we maintain that projection. So yes, they asked us, we felt this was in the best interest for Middlebury, for the TIF, for the county, and we recommended.
And at the end of the day, we control the dollars.
And you control the dollars, absolutely.
Which is
So
what I don't want.
question.
I do. So I'm-
Is this project at the end of the line, or can these utilities be extended even further out, benefit future developments?
At this time, this would be the end of the line, but there's no reason why if there was a petitioner or somebody, a developer who came forward and said, hey, I would like to do this, that does start a new loop that somebody could
So
connect
they're
to.
being built so they can be extended.
Correct.
And that's the whole purpose of TIF and TIF money. So I think it sounds pretty good to me.
I'll make a motion to approve with the caveat the interlocal is agreed, signed before.
We already have a
I'll just-
motion and a
what-
second.
Oh, did we?
Change my motion to include the interlocal agreement to be signed and approved. You gotta change your second, Doug.
I didn't realize we had it.
Yeah, I'll change it. Yeah.
We didn't need
Okay.
Any other comments from the audience?
Good day, Natasha Weisenbeck, redevelopment coordinator. Just to give a little bit of insight about why the town specifically was requesting this as opposed to the business requesting this. The town manager is managing a lot of very sensitive timelines, specifically in this area that is just south of US 20. The US 20 section just north of here is set to start construction in fall of 2026. So it behooves the town of Middlebury to make sure anything that is disturbing roads and these kind of redirection areas are getting constructed quickly and before that comes. Secondarily, there's not only that state NDOT pressure, but also an IDEM pressure requiring this business to hook up to those utilities by July 2026. And because the town feels that they can manage that utility build better than if the private developer did it in that shorter timeline, that is one reason they chose to take the main direction on this, similar to when highway department occasionally says, no, we want to have control over this road project. So rather than put it through the TIF reimbursement process, we're going to manage that. That is one thing that happened on Walorski Way, is that highway and redevelopment decided just manage and cover those road expenses. And then other expenses were covered by a reimbursement process.
Hey, can I ask about that? Sorry, that's an intriguing comment. I am unused to people saying that government will be cheaper than private developer.
I said manage better, I think, but.
Yeah, That's,
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, but there is that tight turnaround, and so they are trying to, they have, already asked for bids, and they're hoping to receive bids before the end of the month, so they can get a few items done before the freeze. Just to give you guys insight as to why this is a request from the town of Middlebury. Additionally, there is a possibility that IDEM might not be requesting them to hook up if we had not built the utility to the point that we did in a previous 2-year timeframe. Because they're within 500 feet of our more recently built sewer, it potentially falls under that reasonable distance for IDEM to ask them to hook up to utilities. So that was another factor in why the town is thinking that it makes sense for them to take that on. And again, as Rick was saying, for them to work with us as a partner as opposed to try to manage it from another TIF piece. That's just to give some insight as to, again, why this is a town request and not a business request. That's all. Thank you.
One more question, I guess it's for May. Sure. At the same time, would it make sense to look at extending the TIF beyond 2031?
Yeah, that's definitely a great question. That's something we can look into and get into motion next year. So I think with the new development coming on, it does make sense to extend it beyond the next 6 years. So
I think it would make sense to me.
yeah, we can do that.
Any other comments from the audience? Comments from the council? If not, it's been moved and seconded to approve $400,000 from Middlebury Southeast TIF. Can we have a roll call vote on this, please?
Yes, Mr. Bielski,
Yes.
Mr. Clark,
no.
Mr. Graham,
Yes.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
Mr. Riesecker,
Yes.
Mr. Yon is not here, and Mr. Stone.
Yes. And that passes 5-1.
Next, we have planning and development requesting $500,000 from the Middlebury East TIF Fund.
So this request and the next request, total a $1.5 million investment coming from each of the TIFs that do impact the town of Middlebury. This is for the expansion of the wastewater treatment plant and improvements needed. Again, talking about shared financial with the town of Middlebury and doing about a 50-50 split between the design and construction of the property or the design for the wastewater treatment plant. In this instance, the benefit to the county is you've heard us talk a lot about State Route 13 and that interchange area and the potential to have future development up there. We explored state revolving loan fund this year. We are approved for it. We did not move forward with it this year because we need a commitment from the business owners. We found out about the approved business owners enough time to commit. So we're very encouraged to continue that pursuit of state revolving loan fund for that area next year. And all that is to say, we need the expansion of the wastewater treatment plant in order to make that a reality for State Route 13. And as all of you, I think, are aware, Regional Sewer District has a relationship between that area and then White Pigeon. This expansion of the Middlebury wastewater treatment plant would allow us to transfer away from our relationship with White Pigeon into Middlebury.
Well, that raises a question, because I think I asked before, and I don't think it went over the toll road. Does it now? Is this going to extend it north of the toll road?
It would give it the capacity to do so,
But
yes.
would not extend it up there?
No.
And then one of the things, I know we discussed this, and one of my concerns is, so Middlebury has an incentive to do this because they extend it out into the town and then they get user fees, and that's a big revenue generating source. The problem is we don't get that. So we're, again, putting towards Middlebury specific, their town, to get this. And I have an issue with not getting the SRF funds. That was the thing for me.
Sure.
When we discussed, I was like, everyone that I'm seeing in the state right now has SRF funds. Why are we not using those? And then when I learned that they didn't have the business support or whatever it's called.
Mhm.
So I was struggling with it, as May and I discussed earlier.
So one of the advantages of this is to more industrial property north of the toll road. Those people need the sewer, the real sewer up there, which would be a gravity sewer versus what they have now, which seems to be adequate, but there's a lot more expansion that can be done up there in industrial property, but it can't be done on the system that's there. That's my assessment of it.
Yeah, but this doesn't add to any of the properties north of the toll road. It brings it available to the border.
Well, it makes it a lot cheaper to hook on if they have to run all the way to Middlebury and pay for themselves. they're never gonna do that. And they have two disagreements with the White Pigeon District all the time, so I've been told.
This just
I
gives
can't
them the
verify, I
capacity
can't
that they have the
personally
pipe.
verify that, Steve.
Yeah, no, but this just gives them the capacity, not the piping. So we'd still will
Right,
come
but
back and we'll do another one.
makes it,
Right, there would be
it makes
another
it
one later.
feasible. If it doesn't go all that way up there, then there's no way they can, well, there might be a way. But it's gonna be a huge expense to them. And,
Yeah,
the
and
people on the south side of the toll road that don't have sewer at all and they need it. I mean, not only the residents, but the businesses that are up there need it badly.
And I think too, the other thing to keep in mind is, development always increases the TIF dollars you're going to collect too. So yes, we're spending TIF dollars on expanding a wastewater treatment plant that will eventually benefit to the county, right? Because there's going to be more development that we'll be able to collect. So increased TIF dollars for us.
But again, there's a lot of assumptions built in there. There's an assumption that we put in more pipe. There's an assumption that we expand the tip. There's an extent, like just.
Yes,
Well,
there's a lot of work.
If you
in the
don't
years
have
ahead.
the sewer built and if you don't have the upgraded the treatment plant, then you don't have to worry about the other stuff. But I think we want, as I see it, more industry, of course, well, I'll reserve that comment, but more industry, more industrial property up in that area would seem to be a benefit to the county and the residents of the county.
Now, one thing I did say is I'd be more open to like a 25-75 split, where we only pay 25% of it, put a little, because they do get to recoup it through the user fees over time.
And that's something too, if that's something that you all would like to consider, maybe approving one over the other. That's not the decision you guys can make.
This is just for the design work, right?
This is just for the design work. That's
So
correct.
they'll be coming back
Construction, yes.
and that will be like.
So every
That'll be a
year
lot.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
it's
I'm
gonna
saying.
every year for the next 7 years, we'll be coming back for additional appropriations ranging from 500,000 all the way up to $1 million at the end of the project for construction costs. So the total construction cost they're asking for from the county would be $9 million between the two TIFs.
I think they can put more skin in that.
Okay, any more questions from the council? Questions or comments from the audience?
Rick Gentle with Redevelopment Commission. What I want to do is just expand on what May was talking about. So the funds here are not all coming from the Redevelopment Commission. And even those that are asked to come to the Redevelopment Commission are being split between State Road 13 and Middlebury. So once again, looking out at the projections, that TIF and the State Road 13 TIF clearly have the ability to fund what is being requested. So when the original request came in, we said we just weren't comfortable funding the amount. They came back with an alternative, and this is the alternative for this specific TIF. So once again, it clearly fits within their financial picture.
Okay, thank you.
Pam Kaiser, Middlebury. So just for the record, I was at the last redevelopment commission meeting when this was discussed. And I voiced my concerns for the residents that there would be a heavier burden on their costs as far as the utilities because of these projects. Now they talk about this being 9 million. The total project is $22 million. So I was assured that this would not increase the residents' bill. And I just want to put that up for the record since this is videotaped. Thank you.
Anyone else from the audience? Back to the council. Is there a motion?
Not yet.
No, I mean, is there? Is somebody gonna make a motion?
I would move to not approve the 500,000 as presented.
I would second that.
Any other discussion?
So you
I have a
know, it's
comment.
split.
I mean, we can reject this and then, or we could. I'm
I
open
just,
to it.
you know, a lot of work has gone into this project, and I think it'd be short-sighted not to fund it. I mean, not this project specifically, but this whole increasing the capacity of the sewer line, along with the waste treatment.
Well,
I mean, this is something that, you know, if you don't have it, it's going to hinder industry being developed up there. Plus, you've got a number of homes that are going to be hooked to this sewer line that need some help with their sewage system, shall we say.
I'll withdraw mine if
So that's my comment.
25.
Yes, we have a county commissioner that was.
Hi, Susie Wire, County Commissioner. I think these discussions are very warranted because you obviously have questions. I'm not sure where this is coming from now. TIF funds in general have historically been used and continue to be used for projects within the TIF districts. These projects have, again, historically and continuously been for infrastructure projects of all kinds, whether it's roads, sewer, water. These projects have been long in the planning process and are necessary to continue and work collaboratively with the entire plan for these TIF districts. Funds generated in the TIF districts have to be used for a contiguous project, meaning a project that touches the TIF. Am I saying that correct? And I wish if there were these strong objections, it would have been known ahead of time before these projects had been this far along and started, because there have been a lot of resources from staff on our side, on Middlebury staff, and or suggestions on how you would like the funds used. If you want to change in how funds are used from infrastructure, that would be very helpful for the commissioners to know. I don't know what else you would like these funds to be used for besides maybe acquiring land. That's something else that TIF funds can be used for. But projects in general of this nature are very appropriate use of these funds.
Can I ask, have we built other wastewater plants with TIF funds? Not since I've been here, but maybe we have.
Yes.
We've extended them, yes.
Extended, okay.
Yep.
And then the other thing is, I do know, because Natasha was there, you were gone, but a few months ago, we had an update from Baker Tilly regarding TIF funds and the use of them on roads. And I do know that I did say that I would like to see them used more for roads than anything else at that time. So that was a good heads up too.
Yeah, well.
But there are
I
only
agree
so
with-
many
I
roads.
agree with that, Steve.
There's only so many roads, and the highway department is very good at working with the communities and using funds in TIF districts and making sure that the roads in the TIF districts, especially the ones that we are responsible for, they're fantastic at monitoring, maintaining, and suggesting improvements. There's only so many roads to fund in a project, in a TIF district.
And this is a big project as far as money goes. And if you want development in that area, or you want the county to grow, this is the kind of funds that need to be used for these projects, because to expect the industry to fund all this, you may be asking a little too much, because this is going to benefit not only the businesses up there, but the people that have sewer septic systems that are failing. And there are some that are failing up there. So, I mean, it benefits a lot of people. Plus, it contributes to the growth of the county. So, I would be strongly for this.
I'm a little bit confused here. I don't think so. But as I read this, this 500,000 and then the next $1 million request that's coming up are both the same project, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
But it's not for engineering or right-of-way acquisition to run a sewer line. It's to increase the size of the wastewater treatment plant.
Correct.
But you can't take more waste in that
understand that.
treatment plant. So you have to build improve the treatment plant so it's capable of taking this sewage that's going to be coming in up by the toll.
Without the benefit of doing this expansion, we would not be able to realize the extension further north for any
Right.
proposed development that might occur up there. And I want to say again, for the sake of the road projects too, redevelopment, my staff, our team meets with highway once a month to make sure, and with Mary as well from the town, to make sure there aren't any outstanding road projects that we're missing, and we look 10 years out. So these funds, this request, and the next 7 years of requests for this project to be realized, are all account action tabs too. So it's not to say that because as Susie pointed out, projects have to be within the TIF or continuous to the TIF, right? There are very many road projects within these two TIFs that require these TIF resources. So we're able to use them for the expansion of the wastewater treatment plant. If we don't use them here, there's not too many other projects we're going to use them for.
You asked the question, is if we'd ever done some of these kinds of activities before with TIF dollars. I think specifically the Millersburg expansion, they were in desperate straits at one time, and we used some TIF dollars. In fact, I think we established a TIF, and then were able to expand that Millersburg sewer treatment and get them out of the bind that they were in.
Yeah.
So there's some precedent for this.
It's interesting because Millersburg just opened bids last week or the week before to expand theirs.
Yeah.
And had to think they're paying for it themselves.
Okay, so anything else from the audience? Go ahead, Natasha.
Tasha Weismack, redevelopment coordinator. Specifically for the Middlebury East TIF, it is still working on a long-term relationship with that wastewater treatment plant. Actually, we still have a yearly payment that we make for the initial expansion of that. So the Middlebury East TIF very much has a precedent for having a relationship with utility expansion and support on that north side of Middlebury. So that is a big part that associates that TIF with it. I can understand some questions for the next item for the State Route 13 TIF piece for the conversations we were having earlier about that extension project. I also want to clear up some possible miscommunications. When we say that we did not, air quote, have the business support to move forward, what we mean is that we were not able to get legal paperwork together in time for the deadline to tell State Revolving Loan Fund. Yes, we want to sign paperwork in 2026 to move forward with the build. When in reality, we had businesses who knew that they needed this, but when we told them, here is a legal document that you need to sign, within a month of us finding out that, yes, we got state revolving loan funds, and when we need to tell the state that, yes, we're taking this, they had to push it up to different property owners or to different corporate folks who they do not have as much control over their timeline and what it takes to get those pieces of paper signed. So in the spring, when it had been decided by different boards that we're not going to make businesses sign anything until we know that we have the state revolving loan fund, we think that that is one of the issues that affected this timeline piece. However, I think it's actually a blessing that we had that, because as we go through the design process, we do have a few different locations where we will need to require right-of-way to put a lift station, and that can take time to accomplish. And by us waiting to be re-ranked for 2026 to 2027, instead of going through and signing in 2026, we'll have more time to make sure that the parcels we're able to acquire those permanent easements on for those lift stations will not be done in a rushed manner and will be done in the right location with the right partners. So that actually worked out, I think, well, to make sure that we have a secure build for 2027 rather than trying to rush things together for a 2026 build. So I just want to clarify that for that larger project. But again, for the item before you guys right now, which is that 500 for the Middlebury East, that has a very strong precedent for this TIF specifically. Also, this is only for design. If you would like to rework with the town of Middlebury what it looks like for the any engagement for the actual construction, We haven't signed a document agreeing to what that looks like yet. We are more than open to working with Middlebury on a different percentage breakdown for that portion. They had asked us specifically for the design portion to upfront more funds on this portion as opposed to construction, because they had a number of different utility projects that they have been completing over the past year that make it so that their funds specifically for utility are tight this year that will loosen up in a year or two from now. So just want to make sure you have those details about the Middlebury East TIF specifically. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Glenn, were you the other one who wanted to speak?
Glenn Nall, Goshen. I'm hearing two different things here. Adam and Steve said it is saying that it's a waste of money in the sense of how it's going. Susie and the others are going, we've already poured money into it. You know, do we put, more money in? Is it good or bad money we're putting in after good or bad money? This county has a history of doing that. That little bridge over 33. Anyways, but on the other hand, I can remember when Goshen built that big ugly tank along the railroad track for the runoff from the street, because they knew that the rules were on change coming up. They built it ahead of time. South Bend said, we ain't gonna waste our money on that. And when it clicked in the face, they were paying thousands of dollars a day because they didn't have the capacity to do that. In my neighborhood growing up, as the families got bigger, it went from a one-hole outhouse to a two-hole outhouse. So sooner or later, if you want to grow, you have to have infrastructure. You have to have something to back it. Yeah, I don't like spending money. And I don't believe that we should be sucking every penny we can to go on to roads. We spend a lot of money on roads. Steve and I don't disagree with that. But I think that this is something that's on benefit other people, not just the businesses there. If you have bigger capacity, then you can take care of more people.
Okay, anyone else in the audience wish to speak? Back to the council, any more comments?
I have a quick question. I think probably for me. Sometime in the last year or two, we were presented with a map and proposed lines and so on and so forth.
Yes.
One of the things that stuck out to me, it looked to me like there'd be an opportunity at some point for the York School to come in and be part of that. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
So there may be some major savings at some point to the school corporation, because eventually they're gonna have to do something there.
They'll need to address it, yes, sooner or later.
Okay, that answers my question.
Okay, so back to the council, any other comments? So we have a motion and a second to deny this. So any more discussion? So we'll need a roll call vote on this, Brandy, and the motion is to deny the request. So if you vote yes, you're voting to deny the request.
All right, Mr.
Correct.
Kowalski?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Graham?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
No.
Mr. Riecksecker?
No.
Mr. Stone?
No.
That's 3 yeses and 3 nos.
I'll vote, I'll split the time.
Oh, Commissioner doesn't understand this.
So what is our procedure? I mean, it fails.
Bring it.
Isn't there a time frame for them to bring it back?
Based upon an action of 3-3, there is no official approval
Yeah.
or denial, so the motion cannot pass, and it sits as is. Typically, in a circumstance like this, the board considers whether they want to table the action until all 7 council members are present, so that the full council can have a vote.
Now, one thing I would go with, Daryl, if you wanted to do the 25-75, I've said I'd be for that the whole time.
How much in a hurry is Middlebury on this?
They'd like to have an answer before the end of the year, so we would like to bring it back in November and know what your standing is, ideally.
I'd probably like to have more time to talk about it and see if we can come up with a percentage split that everybody's happy with instead of keep kicking this down.
Do you have a percentage split in mind?
We talked about 25-75, but
Instead of 50-50.
Yeah. Put more skin in the game because you're going to recoup more of it.
Okay, so is that a motion to table this?
We don't know.
It's been tabled.
Are you tabling it or?
I don't know. I don't have a motion to table.
I'll motion to table.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to table this, this appropriation from the Middlebury's TIF. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, so it's tabled
make a motion to table the next one.
6-0.
Yeah.
Make a motion to table. I do have to read it first.
Planning and Development requesting $1 million from the State Road 13 interchange TIF.
Motion to table it.
Second.
Okay, I'd like a roll call vote on this.
All right, Mr. Bielski,
Yes.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Graham,
Yes.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
Mr. Reesicker,
Yes.
and Mr. Stump.
No. So it passes, it's tabled 5-1.
Thank you.
Next additional appropriation is the Commissioners requesting $60,000 from the 2022 LR Bond Construction Fund.
Jeff Taylor, County Administrator. You may recall that there was a security scanner purchased for the new courthouse that did not work out. The vendor approved an agreement with the county to make three $60,000 payments for a total of $180,000, which is the cost of the security scanner to reimburse the county for the expenses. In the meantime, the sheriff's office purchased a particular security scanner that works. This is the first $60,000 payment. I'm asking to appropriate it so that we can utilize it for outstanding invoices for the courthouse. While you see a courthouse that is up and running and functional, behind the scenes, we have some outstanding invoices with various vendors, including the contractor for the project. So what I'd like to do is use this money to pay the outstanding invoices and preserve our general fund money. If this is acceptable, there's another payment that has been received for $60,000 that will probably be on November's agenda. And there's a third payment coming. There were three $60,000 payments for a total of $180,000. I'm asking for the first payment to be appropriated back to the project.
Would you get the other 60,000 the same way as this?
Yes.
Would it make it easier if we just appropriate 180?
You can't because it hasn't been advertised.
Right.
Now, next month, he could come back and do the other two. You could do.
Yeah. Well, and then I'll talk to you, but what happens if I don't have the third until after?
We can always reduce it, as long as you don't spend it.
Okay.
We can always reduce it.
Okay.
afterwards.
Gotcha.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any other questions from the council? Questions from the audience? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded to approve $60,000 from the 2022 LR Bond Construction Fund. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. That passes 6-0.
Thank you.
That was the last additional appropriation on your agenda this evening. We have one reduction, which is Planning and Development, with a reduction of $20,000 from the general fund.
You just walked out.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions? Questions from the audience? It's been moved and seconded to approve $20,000 from the general fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, and that passes 6-0. Have two transfers.
I'll move to approve transfer R and S.
Second.
Okay, so the first one is a request from the Health health education for $4,611, and from the WIC fund for the health department, $1,020. All those in favor of this transfer, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. That passes 6-0. Council request or transfers that do not require the council action are available in the auditor's office. Next item on the agenda is other business. Steve Olson has a presentation to make for us.
Good afternoon, Council. Steve Olson, County Attorney. Before you today is an interlocal agreement funding water and sewer main extension. You will remember this project as it was presented to you for appropriation this evening and had extensive discussion that ultimately passed on a 5-1. This is for the Middlebury Southeast TIF District. This is working with the town of Middlebury. The funding will be provided to the town of Middlebury. They will be assuming and agreeing to the responsibility for the project, will ultimately own the improvements associated with that. There is a limitation of liability for the county in connection with this, reducing our exposure. Tax increment allocations pursuant to Section 7, which was discussed at length, will continue following this for the county of RDC to receive 100% of the incremental taxes. I believe that's a sufficient summation based on the rest of the discussion you already had. If you need anything else, happy to discuss further.
Move to approve.
Second. Before we take a vote, Daryl has left and won't be voting, just for the meeting minutes.
Any comments from the audience? Back to the council. It's been moved and seconded to approve CC 2025-20, which is an interlocal agreement. All those in, well, let's have a roll call vote.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Mr. Bielski,
Yes.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Graham,
Yes.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
Mr. Reeksecker left, Mr. Yan is not here, and Mr. Stout.
Yes. So passes 5-0.
Thank you.
So did Daryl leave forever?
Yes.
Yes.
We didn't say goodbye.
He patted you on the forehead. You just
I
didn't feel
qualify what you mean by forever. Maybe for tonight? For tonight, yeah. Okay, so we're at the point of public comment, and you're asked to sign up. You have 3 minutes to speak about things that are pertinent to the council. And we have 2 people that have signed up. Rick Gentle, you have anything to say? You spoke your piece, okay. The next person on the list is Glenn Knoll.
Glenn All Goshen. I did mention to the county commissioners when I've been able to come to the meetings, one of my pet peeves on money that's being spent on budget this year and years past is on bike paths. Let's call it what it is. It's a walking path, it's a bike path, but I don't get to drive on it, but the bikes can drive on the highway. And they scream bloody murder every time you get too close to them or you honk a horn at them because they ran a stop sign or some other stupid thing that if I did that stuff, I actually seen somebody riding on the curb by Dandino's. I don't know what they call it now, at 5 o'clock at night. Now, we call that gene pooling. I'm just saying, we have an opportunity, or should have had an opportunity, to cut some money from someplace, because every little department has bike money in it. It's just there. There's a slush fund for it. The biggest one that I think was a waste was that bridge over 33. It goes nowhere. So I'm just saying, either he starts enforcing the law, because I can tell you that 40-pound bike or less now, they're real light, versus my 1-ton truck. that scratch I can rub off, but he ain't gonna rub it off. So I'm just saying, you're not gonna win with a vehicle if you're gonna be stupid on a bike. So I suggest that in the future, when we're looking at where we have to cut, and I know Steve and I disagree with, because he's got a young family, they use the bike pass and all that other.
I was like, no, we agree, we have to cut.
No.
I was like, what are you talking about?
No,
Got on bike paths, yeah. Yep.
but it comes down to when money is tight, you cut the luxuries out.
That
My
part we do-
opinion.
That part we do agree on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Anybody else wish to speak? Okay, that ends the session for public comment. We're now going to move to the second part of the meeting, which is reading and adoption of the budget for Elkhart County and the Napanee Library Board. And the first thing we're going to do is the auditor. The first deputy auditor is going to read the notice to the taxpayers budget form number 3 for Elkhart County.
Notice to taxpayers, complete details of budget. Oh, my time is up. Never mind.
Yes, sir. Please.
The ceremonial reading of the budget.
This is why I asked.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Right.
Just
'Cause
go.
you knew. Go ahead.
Go.
Notice to taxpayers, complete details of budget estimates by fund and/or department may be seen by visiting the office of this unit of government at 117 North Second Street, room 104, Goshen, Indiana, 46526. Notice is hereby given to taxpayers of Elkhart County, Indiana, that proper officers of Elkhart County will conduct a public hearing on the year 2026 budget. Following this meeting, any 10 or more taxpayers may object to a budget, tax rate, or tax levy by filing an objection petition with the proper officers of Elkhart County not more than 7 days after the hearing. The objection petition must identify the provisions of the budget, tax rate, or tax levy to which taxpayers object. If a petition is filed, Elkhart County shall adopt with the budget a finding concerning the objections in the petition and testimony presented. Following the aforementioned hearing, the proper officers of Elkhart County will meet to adopt the following budget. Public hearing date, Monday, September 8th, 2025. Public hearing time, 12 p.m. Public hearing location, 117 North 2nd Street, 104, Goshen, Indiana, 46526. Adoption meeting date, Thursday, October 16th, 2025. Adoption meeting time, 4 p.m. Adoption meeting location, 117 North 2nd Street, room 104, Goshen, Indiana, 46526. Estimated civil max levy, $55,607,748. Property tax cap credit estimate, $7,156,500. I will read the following columns from left to right. 1, fund name. 2, budget estimate. If there were any changes made after we did our first posting of the budget, I will list those as advertisement changes. 3, maximum estimated funds to be raised. 4, excessive levy appeals. For column 4, that entire column is 0 for every fund, so that will get skipped every time. Current tax levy percentage difference. General fund, $87,840,144 was the original request. After changes, the new total is $77,964,061. $39,900,900, $33,488,365, 19.15%. Election registration. The original request was $1,510,033. The new amount with the changes is $1,202,541. $1,258,800, $1,035,869, 21.52%. Reassessment, $864,264. $626,700. $525,029, 19.36%. Convention and Visitors Bureau, $2,900,000. Highway, $4,889,977 was the original request. With the cuts, the new total amount is $4,836,042. Local road and street, $2,487,800. Cumulative bridge, $686,239. $1,741,700. $1,433,189. 21.53%. County Major Bridge, $1,296,227. $5,742,400. $4,725,265. 21.53%. Health, the original request was $4,924,609. The new dollar amount with the changes, $4,768,223. $3,726,600. $3,121,797. 19.37%. Cumulative drainage, there is no budget request. $927,200. $758,501. 22.24%. Crime control is $32,500. Communications center, $2,315,618. $2,953,600. $2,474,265. 19.37%. Emergency telephone system, $2,110,275. Park and recreation, $3,188,258. $3,641,900. $3,050,847. 19.37%. Landfill, $7,689,872. Cumulative capital development, $4,919,375. $5,690,600. $4,682,695. 21.52%. Economic development, $4,475,185. District solid waste management, $860,500. Stormwater management operating, $1,852,128. Accident report, $35,000. Special projects, prosecuting attorney, $351,418. Adult probation user fees, $1,395,259. Juvenile probation user fees, $108,683. Electronic map, GIS, $99,610. Recorders perpetuation, $564,011. County seizure of assets, $141,300. Road maintenance and construction, $2,050,000. Bond and interest, $7,274,973. Sheriff's pension, $450,000. Enhanced access, $57,500. Lowit public safety, $8,732,065. Lit special purpose, $15,910,460. Economic development fee, $282,000. Sales disclosure county share, $19,000. Extradition, $3,000. Firearms training, $160,000. Identification security protection, $18,000. Park non-reverting operating, $209,450. Plat book, $81,517. Surveyors corner perpetuation, $484,875.
Yes, and then I sign.
Unsafe building, $119,285. Auditor ineligible deduction, $109,000. County elected officials training, $18,000. Abandoned vehicles, $10,000. Alternate dispute resolution, $35,000. Northwest Gate TIF, $144,950. South Benton TIF, $115,130. Western Gateway TIF, $137,315. Middlebury South East TIF, $307,800. Middlebury East TIF,
Ready to sign them yet?
$852,800. County Road 6 and County Road 17 Improvement TIF, $345,850. North Bago TIF, $87,315. State Road Interchange TIF, State Road 13 Interchange TIF, $556,800. Redevelopment Commission, $6,000. Fiber, $1,809,217. Solid Waste Capital Reserve, $5,512,500. Adult Probation User Fees, $1,409,394. Adult Community Corrections, $1,278,112. Drug Court User Fee, $66,000. Love's Allocation, $139,130. 2022 Pretrial Grant Award, $60,000. Jury Pay, $150,000. Local Public Health Services, $1,359,567. Amazon TIF, $1,080,910. Dental Program Income, $831,109. Problem Solving Court Grant, $90,728. State Probation HEA, $105,000. Court Recidivism Reduction, $91,357. The original budget request was $190,099,394. The new budget that will be approved today is $179,705,498 with the cuts.
Okay, now the auditor will read levies and tax rates from the 17-line statement.
The general fund levy of $39,900,900, rate of 0.3515. Health fund levy of $3,726,600, of 0.0328. Park and Recreation levy of $3,641,900, rate of 0.0321. Election Board and Voter Registration levy of $1,258,800, rate 0.0111. Reassessment levy of $626,700, rate of 0.0055. Cumulative Bridge levy of $1,741,700 with a rate of 0.0153. Cumulative Drain levy of $927,200 with a rate of 0.0154. Emergency Communications levy of $2,953,600 and a rate of 0.0345. Total within the maximum levy $54,771,400 and a rate of 0.4825. The next two funds are outside of the maximum levy, but they do have a levy and a rate. First one is Major Bridge with a levy of $5,742,400 and a rate of 0.0506. And Cumulative Capital Development with a levy of $5,690,600 and a rate of 0.0501. Total outside of the maximum levy is a levy of $11,433,000 and a rate of 0.1007. So total levy within and outside of the maximum levy is $66,210,400 and a rate of 0.5832. The following funds have no rate or levy: highway, local road and street, landfill, bond and interest, stormwater management operating, criminal justice facilities, emergency phone system, convention and tourism, special projects prosecuting attorney, economic development fee, sheriff's pension trust, solid waste management district, community corrections adult probation user fees, juvenile probation user fees, GIS, recorder's perpetuation, road maintenance and construction, county seizure of assets, public safety Lowit, drug court user fee, Love's allocation, lit economic development, accident report, county recorder's enhanced access, extradition, firearms training, recorder's identification security protection, parks non-reverting operating fund, plat book, surveyor's corner perpetuation fund, unsafe building, auditors ineligible fund, county elected officials training fund, abandoned vehicles fund, alternate dispute resolution, Northwest Gateway TIF, South Benton TIF, Western Gateway TIF, Middlebury Southeast TIF, Middlebury East TIF, County Road 6 and County Road 17 Improvement TIF, North Bago TIF, State Road 13 Interchange TIF, Redevelopment Commission, Local Public Health Services, Fiber Optic Network, Weedling Collection, Jury Pay, County Offender Transportation, Solid Waste Capital Reserve, Adult Probation User Fee, Sales Disclosure County Share, and Amazon TIF. Nope. Problem Solving Court Grant, Pretrial Grant Award, Adult Community Corrections, State Jail Treatment HEA, State Probation HEA, Court Recidivism Reduction, and the Dental Program.
Okay, now the first deputy auditor reads notice to the taxpayers, budget form 3 for Napanee Public Library.
Notice to taxpayers, complete details of budget estimates by fund and/or department may be seen by visiting the office of this unit at 157 North Main Street, Napanee, Indiana, 46550. Notice is hereby given to taxpayers of Napanee Public Library, Elkhart County, Indiana, that proper officers of Elkhart County Council will conduct a public hearing on the year 2026 budget. Following this meeting, any 10 or more taxpayers may object to a budget, tax rate, or tax levy by filing an objection petition with the proper officers of Elkhart County Council, not more than 7 days after the hearing. The objection petition must identify the provisions of the budget, tax rate, or tax levy to which taxpayers object. If a petition is filed, Elkhart County Council shall adopt with the budget a finding concerning the objections in the petition and testimony presented. Following the aforementioned hearing, the proper officers of Elkhart County Council will adopt the following budget. Public hearing date, Monday, September 8th, 2025. Public hearing time, 12 p.m. Public hearing location, 117 North 2nd Street, room 104, Goshen, Indiana, 46526. Adoption meeting date, Thursday, October 16th, 2025. Adoption meeting time, 4 p.m. Adoption meeting location, 117 North 2nd Street, room 104, Goshen, Indiana, 46526. Estimated civil max levy, $1,359,433. Property tax cap credit estimate, $278,980. So again, I will read the columns left to right. 1, fund name. 2, budget estimate. 3, maximum estimated funds to be raised. Excessive levy appeals, that column is 0, so that will be skipped. Current tax levy, levy percentage difference. Rainy day, $228,800. General fund, $2,309,686. $1,359,433. $1,306,957. 4.02%. Debt service, $500,000. $555,963. The total budget estimate, $3,038,486.
Okay, the auditor will read the levies and tax rates.
General fund levy of $1,359,433 with a rate of 0.2202, and debt service with a levy of $555,963 and a rate of 0.0901. The total levy is $1,915,396, and the total rate is 0.3103.
Okay. Steve Olson will read the salary ordinance CC 2025-17.
Steve Olson, County Attorney. Before us today is the salary ordinance. The 2026 Elkhart County Salary Ordinance, or 2025 Elkhart County Salary Ordinance, addresses the preliminary votes taken by Elkhart County Council on personal requests and pay requests for the 2026 budget, which occurred on Friday, September 12, 2025. As we look at the ordinance itself, this is an ordinance to adopt wages and salaries for the calendar year and fiscal year 2026 for all full and part-time employees, officers, and elected officials. Associated with this are a number of exhibits. The first exhibit associates the Elkhart County government job family classifications. This adopts all 9 respective classifications. This is a change from the 8 that we previously had as a result of the actions taken by council during the budget process. The wage and salary system for the Elkhart County Sheriff's Office is incorporated as Exhibit B. The wage and salary systems for the Elkhart County 911 Public Safety Communications Center is C. The wage and salary systems for the Elkhart County Deputy Prosecuting Attorney is D. The probation officer salary schedule and directions for implementing the schedule is E. The wage and salary system for Elkhart County Deputy Public Defenders is F. The 2026 wage schedule for seasonal, temporary, and other part-time rates is G. Additional hours compensation programs for the Elkhart County Highway Department is H. The wage schedule for Elkhart County elected officials and Elkhart County council members is adopted under by reference. The wage and salary system for the Elkhart County Health Department is J. The documents discussed as a part of the 2026 budget process as revised and expanded to include the results of the 2026 budgetary process is known as County Form 144. The formal Form 144, consistent with the aforementioned County Form 144, will be adopted. The manual and such amendments and revisions thereto is being adopted, and all a part of the salary ordinance. Other than that, as Exhibit I, the elected officials will be effective December 14, 2025, and will remain in effect through the final pay schedule for that in the end of 2026. Exhibit I, related to Elkhart County elected officials and the Elkhart County Council, will be effective January 1, 2026, and will remain in effect through December 31, 2026. Other than that, everything else was discussed during the budget process with council, and you should all be aware of that, but happy to address any questions.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions from the council? It's been moved and seconded to approve the 2026 salary ordinance CC 2025-17 as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no, and that passes 5-0. Now we have the recorder's perpetuation fund ordinance, and Steve's going to read that for us as well.
Just like the salary ordinance, this is a second reading. This is of the 2025 Recorder's Records Perpetuation Fund Ordinance. Each year we do this pursuant to Indiana Code 362710.2. The Elkhart County Council has received the Elkhart County Recorder's sworn statement, along with the Elkhart County Recorder's request for use of this specific fund. This ordinance itself is to approve the recorder's request to use a portion of the county recorder's records perpetuation fund for the 2026 budget and calendar year in accordance with the 2026 budget estimate, Form 1 for Fund 1189, identified as Recorder's Records Perpetuation Fund. This is to allow her to utilize that fund for a portion of her budget.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the recorder's perpetuation fund ordinance CC 2025-18 as presented. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, and that passes 5-0.
Thank you.
So now we're ready for the adoption of the 2026 budget. Is there a motion to pass the budget as presented?
Move to pass the budget as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to pass the 2026 Elkhart County budget. Ordinance number CC 2025-19 is presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no, and that passes 5-0. Now we need a motion to approve the 2026 Napanee Public Library budget. Ordinance CC 2025-21 is presented.
I'm not sure about that.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the 2026 Napanee Public Library Budget Ordinance CC 2025-21 is presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed say no. So it passes 5-0, I guess. If you're not changing your vote.
I'm still on the fence right
So
now.
we're getting close to the end, so it might be time for a little levity here.
That's right.
After all we've gone through.
Honestly,
So-
I probably would have been a no, except then I have to sign on the other side and I always get confused, so.
So,
Where I come from, most of the fence are barbed wire. You don't want to straddle them.
so we have, the Elkhart County Council meeting schedule. I actually did not look at that.
The only thing
I hate to admit it, but I didn't.
I'm fine with it because it shows still remaining on Thursdays at 4 o'clock. But it does say on here, I don't know if it matters, that they're going to be held in this room. It's possible we might be across the street. Would we have to say or other designated place or?
I think we'd have to republish at that point, wouldn't we?
I don't think there's a chance of that being ready.
I'm just saying it could. It's,
The anticipation is at this time, you do it based upon the known facts. So right now it shows this room. When you are ultimately relocated and you have another room available, we will just publish a new notice and update that for
okay.
the
That's the only
press
thing
and the public.
okay, that's the only thing I noticed. But move to approve our budget meeting schedule.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve our meeting schedule as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no. That passes 5-0. Now I would like a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded.
We got it.
No, you got your,
Oh, here we go.
sorry, no, you're right.
Oh, you
Sorry.
joy kill. You just want.
That's for Steve.
That's my move.
Okay,
I'm
so
surprised you didn't give
moved
Tom a hard
and
time.
seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes 5-0 and we're adjourned.
You threw me off by giving Tom a hard